Bitterly cold temperatures today across most of central and eastern Kentucky, and I have another Arctic front that shows up before the weekend.
A decision to cancel classes has left a superintendent apologizing. I'll tell you why coming up.
This child is impetuous and is not capable of making medical decisions on her own behalf.
A teenager's battle with cancer ends up in the courtroom. Why she's fighting to refuse treatment.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 4.
Welcome to WKYT News at 4. I'm Jennifer Palumbo. The bitterly cold air continues its grip across the bluegrass today. This is a live look at downtown Lexington from our WKYT Skycam, where you can see slightly overcast skies, but it looks like another shot of cold is on its way. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey. Chris?
Yes, it is. I guess we could call it tomorrow Arctic blast number 2. Not that the temperatures in between are going to be warm by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that tonight, nowhere near as cold as what we had last night and early this morning. And speaking of this morning, look at just a sampling of some of the temperatures. How about Mount Vernon? 6 below 0 this morning, 4 below in Maysville, around Cave Run Lake and Moorhead, 3 below, 2 below in Paris, and officially Lexington at -1 early this morning. Lexington with 6 consecutive hours this morning from 0 to -1. 6 straight hours of temperatures 0 or below. Currently into the mid and upper teens now across most of central and eastern Kentucky. Throw a little bit of a wind, still talking about a wind chill that makes it feel like it is 3 degrees in Lexington, 6 showing up into Frankfort, 7 Mount Sterling. Live First Alert Defender, nothing going on as of now, though clouds beginning to increase from northwest to southeast. Here we go again, another little Arctic front that is off to our northwest. Jennifer, that Arctic front arrives for your Friday. We'll tell you how low the temperatures go behind that when I come back in about 10 minutes.
Thanks, Chris. More than 80 schools were closed today because of the dangerous cold, including Fayette County Public Schools. Today, the district's acting superintendent is apologizing for how the decision went down. WKYT's Victor Puente tells us why in our top story at 4.
Fayette County's acting superintendent says the decision to close schools today was the right one, but she's apologizing for the way the school system communicated that decision. Marlene Helms spoke to the media regarding the decision to cancel school today. She said the meetings about the decision began yesterday around noon and ran throughout the day. At 8 p.m. an email went out to parents saying there would be school on Thursday unless there was a change in the weather forecast. Then around 11:05, we received a call from a school spokesperson telling us school would be canceled. An email to parents went out about 45 minutes after that. Helms said they'd been monitoring the weather for several days and made the decision at 8 to give parents time to plan for the next day. She said as the evening went on, she heard from parents about their concerns and the weather reports they were seeing. Eventually, the decision was made to cancel classes.
Even when you make you have the best intentions and you try to account for every possible situation or scenario, there's probably going to be something that you just aren't going to be prepared for.
Along with classes, all school-sponsored after-school activities have also been canceled. In Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Helms said in the future, any notifications about canceling classes would not be sent out until officials were absolutely certain of the decision. Stay with WKYT for continuing coverage of this Arctic blast. You can always find updated closings, delays, and weather information on WKYT.com. Our reporters are working on a number of other stories for WKYT starting at 4:30. Sam Dick joins us from the WKYT newsroom with a look at some of the news in progress. Good afternoon, Sam.
Good afternoon, Jennifer. Some young people braved the cold temperatures this morning. Students were in class today at Paris Independent. The school system is on a short list of central Kentucky schools where students were in session today. There's also school today in Woodford County. Some parents told us they decided to keep their children home, though, because of the extreme cold weather. You will hear from a mother who kept her daughter home on WKYT News at 4:30. Shelters in Lexington were packed overnight with people needing a warm place to stay. The Hope Center alone had 245 people and had to house about a dozen at Arlington Christian Church. The Cold Patrol went out in search of people needing shelter but didn't find them. Lexington police say they helped just one person find shelter. Coming up on WKYT News at 4:30, today a shelter organizer talked to us about why last year's Arctic blast helped in the preparedness for this season. That's coming up on WKYT News at 4:30. And the deep freeze has also caused some power outages across the state, including here in Lexington. The biggest one reported was last night in the Richmond Road area, where more than 500 people were without power, which can be dangerous in these frigid temperatures. KU says these type of outages are not unexpected in cold weather. We will hear from Kentucky Utilities about the outages coming up on WKYT News at 5 o'clock. And that's a look at some of the news in progress. Jennifer, back to you.
Thank you, Sam. The undefeated Kentucky Wildcats are getting ready for their first SEC road game of the season against Texas A&M. The nation's top-ranked team is coming off that overtime win over Mississippi Tuesday at Rupp Arena. Today, UK coach John Calipari talked about what his team has to do better and said his goal is for every player to improve by the end of the season.
Every one of these guys you look at, he is a better player. And if that happens, then our team has grown. We're doing all the kind of stuff we need to do. But I will say this, we're a defensive team. If we guard like we did last game or another team can shoot jumpers like they did, we'll be in trouble again.
Your official UK station is the place to be Saturday. We'll get you ready for the game with This Is Kentucky basketball at noon and Wildcat warm-up at 12:30. Then watch UK Texas A&M battle at 1, followed by Wildcat wrap-up with Coach Cal's post-game comments and highlights of the game. Now to stories making headlines across the nation at 4. A Connecticut teenager with cancer has lost her bid to refuse treatment. Marley Hall is at the courthouse in Hartford with reaction to the decision.
The mother of a 17-year-old cancer patient sat in a Connecticut courtroom while the girl's lawyer argued for her right to refuse treatment.
If we were here 9 months from now, we wouldn't be before you. Cassandra would be 18.
The teen named Cassandra has Hodgkin's lymphoma, which has a high survival rate if treated. The state is forcing her to undergo chemotherapy at a Connecticut hospital against her and her mother's wishes. Their lawyers argued that even though she is a minor, she is mature enough to make her own decisions.
The basis for that state interest is not that someone is 17 or 18. That's arbitrary.
But lawyers for the state said the fact that she ran away last month after agreeing to undergo treatment proves she is not mature.
This child is impetuous and is not capable of making medical decisions on her own behalf.
Connecticut Supreme Court agreed with the state and ruled Cassandra has to continue with the chemotherapy treatments. Cassandra's mom spoke after the decision.
This is my daughter's decision. I think she's mature enough. This is all a big mistake. There are a lot of other options besides chemo.
Cassandra remains in the hospital with a staff member posted outside her door. Her mother is allowed 2 weekly visits. Marley Hall, CBS News, Hartford, Connecticut.
Cassandra's treatment is expected to last 6 months. A bill to approve the Keystone XL oil pipeline has cleared a key Senate committee, setting up a floor debate. This as Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky calls on President Barack Obama to rescind his veto threat. The Keystone pipeline would carry oil from Canadian tar sands to Gulf Coast refineries. The House will vote on its version of the bill tomorrow, and it's expected to pass easily. The chaos continues in France on this National Day of Mourning. A police officer was shot and killed one day after a deadly terror attack at a satirical newspaper in Paris. Investigators say the policewoman was stopping to investigate a traffic accident when the gunman opened fire. So far, today's killing has not been linked to yesterday's terror attack on Charlie Hebdo, which left 12 people dead, including 2 other police officers. The manhunt continues for the 2 brothers accused in those killings. Taxpayers can begin filing returns this month. We'll have tips on how you can get ready in WKYT Money Watch. And a teen fashion retailer is shutting down hundreds of stores. We'll tell you what's in store for the Fayette Mall location next on WKYT News at 4.